Bo, we got it.
You got what?
We found a way to put Simonized car wax
And Simonized car cleaner all in one push-button can.
And just how does it work, Professor Nitwit? Come on, we'll show you.
Come on, we'll show you.
Come on,
Now, look, it squirts on. You push the button. See? And then what? You spread it around and let it dry.
And it's really Simonized, is it?
Watch this.
Sure, it's Simonized. Look at that shine.
We'll be famous. We'll make a fortune. We'll call it, Instant Simonized.
Instant Simonized, you lame brains. You can already buy Instant Simonized everywhere.
Instant Simonized? They thought of it, too?
Simonized thinks of everything. Try Instant Simonized, another easy new way to brighten your day. From Simonized Company.
Good evening, goblins and ghouls, and welcome to the to the Wednesday night Scream Stream mini-sodes. I'm your host, Spakenstein, joined as always by my very good friend, Mr. Evan Sink.
Hello.
He did it. Yes, and
Our last chance. It won't be topical after
true.
tonight.
It feels like our season 5 minisodes went by so fast because this is our season 5 minisode finale. And of course, Fresh Rogan could not be with us tonight, unfortunately, but he will rise from the grave this Friday, God willing, and join us for our season 5 finale movie. But for now, yeah, it's our season finale of Lights Out, and it just feels like it went by in the blink of an eye.
It really did. This whole season has just gone by just like that. But time flies when you're having fun, and we've certainly had a lot of fun with Lights Out.
We have enjoyed it. Yeah, see, Sweetfee, you can't even believe it. I know I can't believe it either. I don't know how, we've had some specials, we've broken it up, and yeah, this is our finale week, season 5 finale week, and we'll be off for a week, and then we'll be back in the saddle again for season 6. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I still don't even know what we're watching for anything for season 6, but rest assured, that's what
you want to do a theme next season? Evil season 6?
We could, yeah. We definitely need to put something on it. This season had a very nebulous theme, but I was definitely trying to take it in a little different direction. So yeah, let's get something cohesive going for season 6. I like the sound of that. I think, yeah, there's plenty of evil things that we have not yet seen on this show. We haven't even scratched the surface, really. We haven't even seen Haxon yet, which, again, it's a silent movie, but it's you're gonna talk about some evil shit. It's a movie all about witchcraft from the 20s that is really pretty, looks pretty dang evil because it's all pretty good. It's got pretty good special effects for 1922. I don't know. I wanted to wait for Halloween for that, but that's probably one of the most evil films I can think of. So we'll see.
I've heard if you play that one backwards, it says to take money out of your mother's purse.
Right. Yes. There have been instances reported of certain felonious behavior after viewing Haxon. So, and that's how the movie The Blair Witch got made too. So maybe the most devilish creation of all. But yeah, we'll get a theme together, and it'll be good. But I mean, yeah, this season, obviously our movies have been kind of going in a more visceral direction, and just our mini-sodes. This show, Lights Out, has just been very different from the horror anthology shows that we've seen before this. Because again, if you've been watching this season, we've already talked about the two that we've seen many times. And if you've seen our past seasons, it's The Veil and One Step Beyond. And this was just a different animal. And it's funny that it comes out like 7 years before like those shows. It's
how many, like, just such a genre of these supernatural shows that have these hosts
yeah
to explain everything.
Yeah, I didn't realize either. I was telling Evan before the show, I started reading this very long research paper that I didn't realize was a long research paper about the host of the show we've been watching, the host of Lights Out, Frank Gallup. But that article goes over, or that paper goes over, actually how prevalent those types of shows were in the early 50s, in the early days of television. And yeah, the hosts for those shows were very more pleasant and polite, and they wore, like, one guy wore a white suit, and he was trying to be very friendly and cordial to offset.
He was trying to sell you some fried chicken.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you look out for that little bolo tie. That's how you know. And yeah, I mean, that was the thing, Evan. Too, you make a good point. Like those hosts were that way usually because they're being hired by whatever company is sponsoring the show.
Like KFC.
Like Alcoa in the case of One Step Beyond. And so when you're at the mercy of some big corporation, it's okay, like, yes, we're financing a horror show, but we need to button it up a little bit. We need to take it back a little bit.
Look, we don't need some creep besmirching our image.
No, I mean, it really seems like that was kind of the, and I think there was some concern, like that was some kind of unwritten rule in television in terms of, okay, if you're doing a horror show, you can't this article said something about horror for horror's sake, like, or you can't, there was something you couldn't do, and it just didn't seem to make sense to me. And but it was the idea you just couldn't be gratuitous. You just couldn't. But that's the thing, is this show has been more gratuitous than any of the other horror anthologies that we've watched, I think. Because even last week's episode,
earlier, which is crazy.
It's earlier, and it always gets these big climactic moments. Not always, but a lot of the time gets these big climactic moments by the middle of the episode, and you're like on edge because you how is this going to end? Where's this going to go? Last week's episode, this poor census worker was held hostage by these crazy old people, and they had a knife at her back at the commercial break.
It's stressful. It was stressful.
It was very stressful. They're like, okay, go sleep in the hammer room. And it was like, where is this going to go? Like, it was surprising because we haven't seen anything that, like, because they make it clear halfway through the first half of the episode, oh yeah, these old people have killed people. There's a dead body lying in this coffin over here. Like, okay, that's very, like, cut and dry. Like, that's,
yeah, it was very, very, very eccentric, but very real.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. Would you say that one was gratuitous?
I mean, I think you could make an argument that it was. Like, again, the fact that halfway through the episode you have them, they're like, oh, we've got this body in this coffin. Mm-hmm. And we've got all these bodies somewhere else in the house. And now we've got this live woman, and we're making her stay, and we're telling her we're going to kill you. And then you're going to be like all of our other guests, like, that is, like you're saying, I think the point that you made is very astute. It's very real. Whereas like Lights Out or whereas One Step Beyond and The Veil, it's all dealing in paranormal. Did this happen? Was this was a real thing, but we don't know quite how it all wrapped up. And it's all speculation. Like every episode is speculation at the end of the day. This show has been very much you feeling like you've got a knife at your back. Oh shit, what's going to happen to this woman? What's going to happen to this poor woman?
Do you think Rob Zombie saw last week's episode? Maybe got some ideas?
It certainly fits into that stereotype. I mean, again, it is something that is real that you could. Everybody has seen that house, like driving on the road, has seen that creepy house that it's like it looks abandoned, but you know somebody lives there, and you don't know
somebody's collecting all these hammers,
collecting all these census workers. No, it's not Silarm because I believe it's lighter than your weight. So we're not getting into the weight speculation now, Silarn. This is all we are. This whole episode is devoted to, Lights Out. It's our finale. Talking about our weight. I did not rig the scale. There's no. I don't do that. I don't rig. That's not me.
Can you put your thumb on the scale if you're measuring your own weight?
That's a good point. Good point. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anything was rigged, and we're not going to discuss weight any further, Cylon. We're here to, if anything, we're eulogizing Lights Out. It's sad. It's very sad. I mean, again,
we got to put it to rest.
There are probably another 10 episodes in the public domain that we'll be able to watch later, but unfortunately, I think we're getting most of the good ones out of the way, so I don't know. But again, I think this is a television show where a lot of the episodes are lost, because I believe they did make like over 100 episodes, and I've only been able to find like 20 to 30, maybe closer to 50, but not hundreds.
It's a lot of lost media.
It's a lot. So, and again, the other thing that this research paper cleared up is that this show was filmed live. We've kind of danced around. Was this live? Was this pre-recorded? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we've wondered that with all the actors, if they'll kind of stumble on their lines a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just feels a little off, or maybe a little like the staging feels maybe a little bit like a play.
Yeah, it does. It definitely gets, obviously, the limitations show, but it's live from New York. It's apparently that's where they're coming from, and you have to appreciate how much they are actually able to do pretty competently for it being live from New York. Again, Saturday Night Live makes it look easy nowadays. Try doing it in 1950s when you got these giant cameras and these hot lights, and I'm sure it was miserable, but this show really did set a tone in terms of horror anthology hosts. The idea of a horror anthology host whose image is associated with the show, and they're a unique personality. That was what Frank Gallup was for the show. But apparently he had a whole career before this as a very dignified presenter. He was considered one of the premier, could be jovial. He could be very, one quote from a newspaper said that he's the only person that sounds like he's wearing spats. If you know what spats are. So I thought that was a very funny quote. And I thought that was an interesting way to describe him. But they describe him as, his career before Lights Out, very dignified. And everybody knew him as this dignified presenter because he presented tons of radio shows. He presented Mercury Theater of the Air for a little bit, which was Orson Welles' radio show. And then he moved into television. I think he was only in television for like a year before he took this on. And he just jumped in. Apparently, from his audition was that's when they came up with the idea of him being in a black background and being right up at the camera. You know, he was very game to host the show, and we have already said in our past episodes how much the host segments make this show. They haven't always been there, so we've really appreciated them when they are there. At the end,
that's how you know how good they are. When they're not there, we notice.
Mm-hmm. We notice big time. We say Frank didn't get his due, and this just doesn't feel complete to me. This just doesn't feel right. But you know, we've gotten through those episodes. We're here now. We are at our finale, our 10th episode of Lights Out, and this one is apparently ranks up there pretty high. The best episode.
Save the best for last.
We did. I think one of the best episodes we've seen so far is The Martian Eyes, and this is pretty comparable to that, apparently. And a pretty big name in horror movie stardom at that time, starring in this. It stars Basil Rathbone, who, again, most people won't know that name. But Basil Rathbone was played a lot of mad scientists, played kind of like sleazy characters, but he also acted in a lot of big studio movies, usually as like a he would be a villain, like a very dignified villain in like swashbuckler films. Like he got work at big studios in a way that like Karloff or Lugosi couldn't, because he had like a very like suave like appearance, and of course his most famous role is
unlike those other two who just looked like monsters.
They just looked like monsters. They really did. They were pegged as monsters right away, and they couldn't get out of it. Basil Rathbone could kind of play. Basil Rathbone plays Dr. Frankenstein's son in Son of Frankenstein to Karloff's Frankenstein's monster and Bela Lugosi's Igor. That is a fun movie. It is because especially Basil Rathbone, and this is what I love about Basil Rathbone, he is so over the top. He really goes big. He's very theatrical, right? And especially like if you've seen Young Frankenstein, the whole reason that the doctor in Young Frankenstein is over the top is because he's mocking Basil Rathbone's performance in Son of Frankenstein, because he is like he's yelling and running around and like yelling at the one-armed police inspector, and like
you gotta talk loud so the microphone will pick up your voice.
I mean, he's just he's like blah, 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 like all over the place, and it's a lot of fun. And he got pretty steady work in horror films, and especially his later career, it was kind of what he ended up doing a lot of. But he was known as one of the top horror guys. I did a whole YouTube short about the 40s horror star tiers, so you can go watch
what
that.
Tier was Mr. Rathbone on?
Well, I didn't include him. We didn't talk about him in that episode, but I did have his head pop up when the list was getting crazy, and I think I put him in the second tier. Mm-hmm. I believe that's where I put him, because he was definitely considered, because if not just the fact that he could play the leading role in a horror film, he also was getting work at major studios. So he's a very legitimate performer. And of course, his most famous role was Sherlock Holmes in like almost a dozen Sherlock Holmes movies. That's the heroic character that he's known for playing in a bunch of 40s films from Universal. And some of those are public domain. And I think I had them available in the last Wheel of Movies, or I had one. So we'll rest assured, one day we'll see some of those Sherlock Holmes movies.
It's coming down the wheel.
It will get there eventually. He's obviously very good Sherlock Holmes, because he's very, obviously when Sherlock Holmes has his Scooby-Doo moment, or is that vice versa? That's when you given this big dramatic reveal, right? And so Basil Rathbone's very good at that. So we'll see if he's in a villainous role tonight or a heroic role. Again, he could kind of switch between the two. the studios allowed him that privilege, which they did not always extend to Lugosi or Karloff. Every once in a while, they'd get more Karloff got opportunities for the big studios to stretch his muscles. But yeah, so this should be a fun one. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah, we've got a big name tonight.
Big name tonight, and just apparently a really good episode. So I'm excited. Again, I've seen the
The title is pretty intriguing. Have we said the title yet?
Yes, and it is Dead Man's Coat. And yeah, what could it be?
What is it? What's about this coat?
Well, we're about to find out. Anything before we get into it tonight?
I think I'm ready. It's sad, but let's see Frank one last time.
One final time with our final episode of Lights Out for season 5. We're gonna get into the exciting beginning of Dead Man's Coat right now.
Lights out.
Basil. And this may be based on one of the radio episodes of Lights Out, actually, I believe.
Well, maybe it's so good they brought it back.
Invisible. Let him go into a graveyard at the quarter hour before midnight and dig up from a grave a newly buried corpse. Then let him remove the coat from the corpse and put it on. And if he shall finish his dreadful work ere the hour of midnight striketh, then hath he gained the power to be invisible. But let him who doeth this...
Turn it off, Gregory.
Silly nonsense.
I said it was a lot
That
of
was
silly
wonderful.
nonsense. Yes, sir, I suppose it is, sir. I suppose you believe it. You're a fool, Gregory.
Yes, sir.
Is that the first
It's impossible.
like in
You know
episode
that.
appearance he's made?
Mm-hmm.
Now go now, sir.
They broke
you
the
may not
fourth
go.
wall.
What are you hinting at?
I'm not hinting, sir, at anything.
You've heard of the superstition before, haven't you?
Not quite sure that it is a superstition, sir.
Have you ever heard
Get
this
out of
before?
here.
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking there's a Twilight Zone episode. I don't know. I can't remember exactly.
Put on a
Frank
dead
said.
man's coat.
Put on it.
That
No.
fool,
Maybe I haven't heard
Gregory.
this.
And if you dig up
Wouldn't be bad,
a
though, if
fresh dead corpse and put on his coat, you turn invisible?
No, I have not heard
things you
that.
could
That's what it
do
was.
to
No.
people wouldn't be bad.
Gregory,
Yes, sir.
bring me another drink.
Yes, sir.
He mused to himself, and I think that was one of the scariest things we've seen yet.
I could
The things you could do to people if you were invisible.
Your drink, sir. Evening paper just came, sir.
All right, get out.
Yes, sir.
Not even a thank you.
Funeral is in the paper tonight, sir. He was buried today, sir.
And why not? He was dead.
Yes, sir. I was sorry to hear that.
I wasn't. I hated him.
Man's dead, sir.
And good riddance. Now get out of here.
Yes, sir.
Archibald Ingram, age 44, who died recently at his country home in Northport, was buried this afternoon at 3 p.m. in Lakeside Cemetery.
Oh, there's the location. He
Gregory.
looks right into the camera. He gives one of those.
Those
"Okay,
wheels
Jim."
are turning.
Okay, Jim
sir?
Halpert.
Gregory, do you really think there's anything in
In what, sir?
In what the fellow was saying on the television, you fool.
You mean about the dead man's grave, sir?
Yes.
coat? No, sir.
Jenkins, do you think it's
It's
possible for a
absolute
man to be invisible?
Give me a light, Gregory.
Yes, sir.
Why?
That was it's a very dramatic
We've got to be finished by midnight.
puff there.
Oh, let me in that grave.
Wow, they're just already in it.
Yeah, no, just
Holy shit.
just skipping straight to it.
What time is it?
Had to make sure this wasn't a shorter episode or something.
No hesitation.
10 minutes before midnight, Mr. Francis.
Don't mention my name, you fool.
I'm sorry, sir. There's no one around.
And if you won't help, at least shut up.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't help it. I'm afraid.
Everybody here is dead, except you and me.
Oh, I wish you wouldn't do it, sir.
What time is it now?
This guy's the
5
worst.
minutes before midnight, sir.
Fucking megalomaniac, rich megalomaniac asshole.
Gregory,
Yes, sir.
hand me down that heavy screwdriver.
Yes, sir.
No. Give me that axe.
Psychopath.
There isn't enough time.
All the
No, sir, you wouldn't do
paths.
that.
Relax.
Oh, no, Mr. Francis!
Will you shut up?
If you could turn invisible, would you do crime? Like, I feel like that's
That's kind of what the original movie, the original Invisible Man is all about.
Gregory.
You know?
okay.
It drives
It's
you
like that's
crazy.
tempting, right? Like you could
Yeah.
probably get away with some really like petty crime pretty easy. You could sneak into a movie theater.
Correlate,
starters.
yeah.
We'll see,
How
Ingram,
destructive.
old boy. Or rather, we won't see, will we, Ingram?
Did it work?
Nobody'll see.
That'd be nice.
He's gonna stand up and still be visible like an asshole.
Gregory. Want to put it on, Gregory?
Where are you going?
Thought you'd run away. Thought you'd run away, did you? Thought you'd run away and pass the word to the police. My boss is a grave robber, you're going to tell them. Oh, well, you just listen to me, my lad. You try anything like that, and you know what I'll do.
He can hit.
Do you
He
think the
can.
police will take the word of an ex-convict against mine? Why, I've got enough on you to hang you, Gregory, and you know it. So if you try anything...
No, sir, I won't tell, sir, I won't tell.
You know you won't. Yeah. Because if I don't turn you over to the police, I'll... Why, I'm going to be invisible, Gregory. You won't be able to see me. Nobody will be able to see me when I tell you a lying throat out with my bare hands. I'll be invisible, and I'll murder you or anybody else that I want to. Now, get to work. And fill in that grave where some grave robber tore it up. Well, what are you waiting for? Get down in that grave.
No, sir, I won't. Don't. Please don't make me get down in that grave, sir.
And hurry up.
You know, I really do love like long-suffering butler-type characters. Those are always
It
fun.
was the last character I expected Basil Rathbone to be playing tonight because this is more of a Lugosi or a Karloff role. Very rarely did they make Rathbone the butler.
Don't go away and leave me here. Mr. Francis! Where are you, Mr. Francis?
Keep quiet, you fool. Can't you see I'm wearing the dead man's coat, Gregory?
Where is that? Oh, we still got a little time, right?
So, like usual, they ramp things up really quickly.
We've already got it, yeah.
All right, give it to me.
Like a third of the way through the episode. And he's already invisible.
I love how they're not avoiding the actors looking in the camera. I love how that's like part of the plot.
Can I get you anything else, sir? Get your hat.
Yeah.
My hat, sir. We're going out.
It's a weird mix of subjective and not subjective.
Did you?
Yeah.
They're playing with what the camera's doing. It's crazy.
Did you say going out, sir?
We're going to call on my friend Hamilton.
Oh, no, sir.
Mr. Hamilton is going to die a most untimely
I heard it was
death,
sold out.
Gregory. A most regrettable occurrence, Gregory. But my friend Hamilton...
Well, it's okay, because he's invisible.
...of treating me very badly.
We just said he can sneak into the theater.
Him that one day I'd get even with him.
Ham, damn, thank you, ma'am.
Wouldn't murder Mr. Hamilton, sir.
Oh, yes.
What's going to happen when he puts on the
I've
hat?
done it long ago.
Is the hat just
I
going to
thought I could get
disappear?
away with it. But now...
Oh, that was cool.
Oh, yes, he will, Gregory, because you, my dear boy, are going
He's
to take me
smoking a
there.
cigarette.
No, sir, no.
And you're going to telephone my dear friend Mr. Hamilton and tell him that you must see him at once. You're going to tell him that you're in constant fear of your life. Which you are, Gregory, aren't you? And you're going to make an appointment with him.
No, sir! I won't be a party to murder.
Fooled you, eh?
Only
Now,
Basil
you'll do
Rathbone
precisely
could
as I
do
tell
this
you.
kind of
And you know
flailing
why you
around
will, don't you?
and make it
You'll
look
be a party to
good,
murder or
'cause
anything
he's
else
good
I
at
want you
being over the
to.
top.
And if anything happens during our little session with friend Hamilton, if anybody interrupts us, why then, my dear fellow, you'll be found alone with a murdered man. Because I'm wearing the dead man's coat. So win, lose, or draw, you're it. Now, take this
Oh!
That's nice.
That was good. That was fun. Where are we?
Therefore, gentlemen, we should very much like a response to our
take a
letter of
break
the
soon, but
18th, I believe it was, in which we informed
We'll
you
get a
that
fade
we
to
were
black.
about to send
I don't
to you
know.
a shipment
We got a whole
of the
new
late-
character. Should we just go ahead and break?
Go ahead.
Yes? Hold on, please.
What is it, Miss Parmalee?
There's a
Yeah,
gentleman
let's go
outside
ahead and
the
break.
seals, Mr. Gray.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
go to
No, we'll
where
break
it
it.
fades out. We'll just pick up there. 10, go to 10:53, and that's where we'll pick back up.
Okay.
Okay, so that was the first half of Dead Man's Coat. What do we think so far?
I'm having fun. I love these characters so much. This
Yeah.
guy's such an asshole, and this poor butler.
Yeah,
He can't quit though. He's being blackmailed by this guy. I don't know what has his butler done.
I believe he threatened the butler's life. He's like, you tell anybody, I'll fucking kill you.
Okay.
And so obviously this butler's a coward. He's not going to tell anybody. Yeah, the guy
Cowardly butler.
wearing the dead man's coat. Whoever, I didn't look up who that guy was, but he's doing a very good job at playing like, one of those assholes you just want to punch in the face so hard. Like he's really it's his voice. Obviously they got a guy with that kind of a voice on purpose. Like he obviously looked a little schlubby, right? But his voice is very effective, especially when yelling at Basil Rathbone, who I gotta say, I mean, if you need any actor to act like he's being attacked by some kind of invisible man, I think Basil Rathbone's one of the best people you can get, because he's those mannerisms. He's a very acrobatic actor. He was I think in the 1930s version of Robin Hood, it's in color, it's very popular. He plays, I think, the main bad guy, and there's a climactic sword fight with Errol Flynn. So that was a lot of like what Basil Rathbone did outside of horror movies, is he'd be sword fighting in swashbuckler movies, because that was like a skill that he had. He was very good at that kind of like combat, stage combat. So I imagine that kind of training comes in handy when you got to act like you're being attacked by an invisible man. So
It's like shadow boxing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like shadow grappling.
It is. It is. I mean, again, it takes a skilled actor to do that, and that's I guess the weird dichotomy in this is the fact that this character is a butler, a timid butler, which is not normally what I associate Basil Rathbone in terms of his horror roles. He's usually playing the bad guy. He's usually playing the mad scientist, or somebody that is mad in some way, even if he has good intentions. But very rarely, I don't think I've ever seen him play a butler or a weak character. I don't think I've seen him play a weak character. He's always very smart, very cunning, especially when he's a villain, very cunning. But so it's a weird, like, it's a weird juxtaposition to me. And I feel like in a way they're almost playing on his image of what you expect Basil Rathbone, the kind of character he would play, versus what we're seeing him here as, which is a timid butler.
Reversal.
But he's the perfect person to do it because of his theatrical training. He's just got a very good background to be able to, like, have the range to be that physical, right? He's a very physical actor, basically. Yeah, I mean, again, the whole bit in Young Frankenstein of them throwing the darts comes from Son of Frankenstein, where Basil Rathbone is throwing the darts, being very, like, big and very over the top. And I mean, he was he was just that was the skill of his. And so they have really put it to good effect here tonight. And again, I mean, I'll talk, obviously the break, we'll see a Basil Rathbone trailer, but I do just want to mention before we go any further, how about that opening? I mean, you gotta appreciate going that meta at, in 1951, 1950, early 1950s.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. It was smooth too. You just pulling out into the scene. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I could, like, when I started to see Frank's shoulder, I was like, oh, okay, something. So, like, and then then you see
what are they doing
what are
here?
they doing? And then you see the screen of the TV, and I was like, oh shit. And yeah, so we didn't get the candle, we didn't get the lights out. So, it was very effective.
Oh yeah, he didn't say it this
He
time.
didn't say it.
Wonder if he'll end the episode.
Yeah, blowing out the candle. Let's hope so. He can't relight it when we come back because he hasn't blown it out. I mean, well, he probably will. We'll see. I hope, since they opened it that way, they'll close it that way, where somebody turns on lights out at the end. Like, it's the end of the lights out episode, and he says, like, the end. That would be a nice way to, like, get us back into lights out, as opposed to just cutting to the ending. If you're going to give us that meta way into the story, then let's go out the same way. Like, let's not just cut back to story. Let's transition
Bring it all
out.
Full circle.
Right. I mean, yeah, let's have some continuity, for God's sakes. I mean, yeah.
Look, if we're gonna be artsy, let's be artsy.
Let's try to do something. But again, yeah, it's definitely been doing some fun things so far, and I'm excited to see where. I mean, it sounds like this Invisible Man's going to kill a guy, which is par for the course for Invisible Men. So we'll see how that works out. We'll see what Basil Rathbone can, what he can do. Anything before we go to break, Evan?
No.
Okay, well, we've got a trailer for the 1956 Basil Rathbone movie, The Black Sleep, starring Basil Rathbone, obviously, but also Lon Chaney Jr., John Carradine, and Bela Lugosi. And it's one of Bela Lugosi's final films, and it's doesn't have a very big role, but it's still of some note. Since it's our season finale this Friday, we always end it with a Lugosi film. I thought it's good to get a Rathbone trailer that also has Lugosi. And we've seen the Son of Frankenstein trailer enough times that, and we've seen this one too, but we'll see this one again. And then we got some commercials sandwiching that. And first commercial, I can't remember. I never remember what the first commercial is. The second commercial, oh my God. It is... I mean, again, what did we have last week? Cope, headache medicine for women, which definitely had some kind of narcotic in
it. Sounds like a shitpost, but no, it was real.
I'm not trolling. It was very real. And so I found, when I came across this commercial in the same cut, like same like 30-minute cut of commercials, I was like, I can't even believe this is real. So
look forward to that. Don't go anywhere.
Don't go. I mean, you can go somewhere for the first little bit, but come back like 2 minutes in, and you see this third commercial, because it is a doozy. It's a cigarette commercial, but let's just say that the spokespeople for this cigarette commercial aren't exactly the spokespeople that you would expect. They are usually promoting more healthy products, not even to mention that they're just not the appropriate spokespeople to begin with. So just a little tease for you there. So we're going to get the trailer for The Black Sleep and these two commercials. And then when we come back, we'll get into the exciting conclusion of Dead Man's Coat. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Oh, don't let the hot sun dry out your hair. Better use Vitalis.
Summer sun, the wind, the water, all make your hair dry as the desert. Your scalp becomes flaky. New Vitalis Hair Tonic with V7, the greaseless grooming discovery, stops summer dryness, keeps your hair neater all day. Vitalis gives your hair extraordinary protection from the ravages of sun, wind, and water. New laboratory findings show that even excessively dried out hair gets back its necessary moisture content faster with Vitalis than with any leading hair cream or hair oil. Yes, greaseless Vitalis with wonder-working V7 does wonders for your hair and for you, too. Get new Vitalis with V7.
If you want to make time with your girl, better use Vitalis. You know what I mean.
Beyond any terror ever known, The Black Sleep. It wakes the dead. 5 of the screen's greatest horror thrill stars: Basil Rathbone, Akim Tamirov, Lon Chaney, John Carradine, Bela Lugosi, and these beautiful women in their power. Pass through a madman's hellfire. Enter an ancient abbey's secret passage into the most terrifying tortured dungeon from the medieval past. Shocking victims of a famous brain specialist gone berserk. Plunging you into a reign of terror.
That's cerebral fluid. But that means this man is alive.
Yes, alive.
This is criminal. Monstrous.
Mungo!
Why not use her? Put her on the Black Sleep. Take her up to surgery at once.
A horror beyond belief, feeding on beauty, lusting to claw the world apart.
They sure work hard, don't they, Barney?
Yeah? I hate to see them work so hard.
Yeah, me too. Let's go around back where we can't see them.
Gee, we ought to do something, Fred.
Okay. How's about taking a nap?
Hey, I got a better idea. Let's take a Winston break.
That's it. Winston is the one filter cigarette that delivers flavor 20 times a pack. Winston's got that filter blend.
Yeah, Fred. Filter blend makes the big taste difference, and only Winston has it up front where it counts. Here, ahead of the pure white filter. Winston packs rich tobaccos specially selected and specially processed for good flavor in filter smoking.
Yeah, Barney, Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should.
The Flintstones has been brought to you by Winston, America's best-selling, best-tasting filter cigarette.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
Ridiculous. And we are back. So yeah, that was obviously a Flintstones endorsed commercial for Winston cigarettes.
I love his little rock Zippo lighter.
You gotta love the attention to detail in the Flintstones. They always were coming up with some inventive way to show you these how they made life work back then.
I'm surprised it wasn't a little like fire-breathing dinosaur. He clicks it out and he goes, "It's a living."
That would have been much more on brand. They didn't have the same writers for this commercial. They have the Winston writers.
Right.
So they were trying to be very practical about how Fred Flintstone would actually light a Winston cigarette. You get that good, cool flavor. Yeah. So I mean, again, usually you see them hawking vitamins, so it's
right. Yeah, they're big in the vitamin game.
Mm-hmm. So seeing,
I love how much of that commercial was also just them, like trying to ignore their wives doing all this work.
Yeah, they were definitely, like, let's go around back and, and then they're just smoking cigarettes. Like, what? Like, I mean,
well, look, the gals have got this handled. What say we sneak off back and smoke a nice Winston cigarette?
Smoking her. Sorry, I gotta my light fell when I went to break, so I couldn't see when I needed to readjust it, but it's back. Not quite, but I'll fix it. Yeah, it was a ridiculous commercial. You gotta love the sponsorship that was allowed. I mean, again, Flintstones was a primetime cartoon, so it was like targeted at adults as well. So I mean, it does make sense. Like it obviously is weird, but there was some logic in these cartoon characters promoting a very adult brand. I mean, although I know that they weren't super strict on who was smoking cigarettes at certain points, Oh, you look old enough to buy cigarettes. Here you go. Back in those days, kids could just buy cigarettes for their parents, and then they probably just,
Right. It's the honor system. You could trust kids better back then. They're definitely not just gonna go sneak off and smoke them themselves.
No, sir. Why would they do that? How could they? Yeah. I mean, it's simpler times, right? Certainly.
Yeah, you come back with half a pack of cigarettes. You give it to your mom and say, "They're only making them in half packs now. This shrinkflation."
They're not going to question you because they're all pumped full of lewds. It was just a different time. Well, sorry, no. To be more specific, the mothers were pumped all full of cope, and the fathers were pumped all full of Anacin, and it just didn't.
got a scalp full of Vitalis. I can't feel a
Vitalis,
thing.
that's what it was. Yeah, so like when I saw that camel, I was just like, why? Like, what does this have to do with anything?
I thought it was going to be Camel cigarettes.
Yeah, you would think, and then it turns into a commercial for
hair tonic.
Hair tonic.
How come they don't sell tonics anymore? You don't really see that many tonics.
No, you
right?
don't. I think tonic, the word tonic just has kind of like a bad name. Obviously, because I feel like that was
It feels very snake oil salesman-y.
That is exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah, that's exactly what my mind goes to is snake oil salesman.
A tonic and elixir, maybe.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, that's why you don't see those words used very often. But I'm sure that some of the products that we still find on store shelves today, at some point, were billed as an elixir or yeah. I mean, it really wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, a tonic. I mean, and obviously, of course, tonic water everybody knows about, but yeah, the tonic in terms of a medicine, not super popular now, but I think they should bring it back.
I've never had a tonic. I don't think is a tonic fizzy like a tonic water is.
I don't
is it
think
fizzy
so.
medicine?
No, I don't think so. I just know it's gonna cure all that ails you. That's what I've heard about any tonic. Guaranteed. So yeah, I mean, that's the other great thing about the season 5 minisodes is we've gotten some ridiculous commercials. I feel like the season's commercials have just been all about showing you how ridiculous commercials used to be back in the 50s and 60s because
commercials.
Yeah, because I think like that both of those commercials were probably from the 60s. So we cheated a little bit. We didn't stick to early 50s, but it's hard finding early 1950s commercials. So I mean, just showing, how ridiculous they could be. That was the plan, and we got some doozies, and certainly we've gotten our Bosco. I mean, we made sure to get our Bosco. We got plenty of reminders, and so to the extent that Fresh even got a Bosco milk amplifier shirt. Why what do we look like? We look like chumps over here, Evan. Fresh, we all said
we
on
do.
the stream,
we're behind the 8 ball.
We all said we were gonna do it, and Fresh is the only one that has his Bosco shirt. So
he's the only one who followed through. So poo-poo to us.
Definitely poo-poo to us. So we'll have to.
I do want to make it very clear for anyone listening at home that we are on Team Bosco. We do rep the milk amplifier.
I will gladly rep it. But I do have a lifetime commitment to Nesquik. Sorry, mixing up Nesquik and Netflix because
your new original chocolate programming.
It just comes right through your TV. You just they don't have to send it to you in the mail.
It's smell-o-vision.
Oh my god. Yeah, we could be so lucky. Probably in 3 years they'll get smell-o-vision down. Yeah, Netflix. Yeah, that's right.
It's gonna be a fad like the 3D TV was.
Yeah, I mean, smell-o-vision in theaters. Any gimmick is a fad, and smell-o-vision in theaters. I can only think of 2 movies that ever had it. The later example I can think of is the Rugrats. One of the Rugrats movies. There's Rugrats in Paris.
Groundbreaking.
One of the Rugrats movies.
Film.
They had a card that you scratch and sniff the smells. But even before that, cult filmmaker John Waters had a movie called Polyester, and it was, I don't know if it was smell-o-vision. I don't know. He had a name for it because he liked William Castle style gimmicks, but the things were like, all kind of gross stuff because this is the guy who made Pink Flamingos. So all his His movies are
Great.
very edgy. So like one of the scratches sniffs is like a character sniffs glue, so it's supposed to. Maybe they changed that one. Maybe that was one he originally put, and they said you can't do this. But it was shit like that, like dirty socks. Like it was, But that was like 15 plus years before the Rugrats thing, so it's not really very. It wasn't a popular movement in terms of gimmicks. Gimmicks are kind of.
Someone's gonna bring that back. I think maybe the next Avatar, James Cameron's gonna just pump a bunch of smells into the theater, so you really feels like you're on Pandora.
I really, I'm sure James Cameron has thoroughly thought about what the smells on Pandora are. If he hasn't thought about what the smell of the shit from the giant birds flying around are, then I think he's wildly misrepresenting how Pandora probably really largely smells, because it can't smell good with all those creatures that are just,
like a zoo in there.
Oh my God. Seriously, when you care that much about the environment, eventually everybody's just leaving their shit everywhere because they're saying it's compost, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, I don't think these giant blue people haven't invented showers.
That's what Avatar 2 is all about, right? That they, instead of taking showers, they're just in the ocean.
Yeah, they swim in the ocean.
That's how they clean up.
You get nice and clean when you swim in the ocean.
That's what Avatar 2 is about. So I've been told. I didn't see it, but Evan, you saw it, and that's what you reported back to me, right?
Yeah, it was just a big advertisement for taking a bath, really. Like a PSA.
I mean, it still did well, but not quite as well as the original Avatar. And that was the reason why a lot of people, it's a little advertised, but it's all there in the context of the movie. It's very clear, the agenda that they were pushing, but that's, James Cameron for you. What are you going to do?
He's a clean guy.
Yeah, clean guy. Roger Corman acolyte. This is another, throw back to the show here. All the famous people.
It all comes back together.
It all comes back to the show. It's all Kevin Bacon over here. It's all the degrees, all the degrees of Kevin Bacon over here. And speaking of the degrees, we're at the this is Basil Rathbone to Kevin Bacon's probably the 7th degree. So I don't know. It's probably shorter than that, but we're getting back into our exciting conclusion of Lights Out with our final Lights Out episode, season 5 finale, Dead Man's Coat. And yeah, we've had, so basically, if you didn't already know, because if you didn't, then you're an idiot. There's a legend that says that if you dig up a dead man at before a certain time, and you take his coat and you put it on, you turn invisible. Well, we've already seen it. It's happening. Basil Rathbone, as the terrified butler, has definitely...
Lo and behold, it worked.
Yeah, he's definitely been terrorized by this invisible man. Yeah, it worked. And and we saw, as Sweet Food pointed out in the chat, we saw a great moment of the phone rising in the air by an invisible hand, and being shoved into Basil Rathbone's face. So that was wild. Obviously, we didn't see the strings. Obviously, there were strings there, but it takes a lot of coordination to do that. They had somebody throw something near Basil Rathbone from off camera at one point. That was fun. You gotta love when people are throwing things at actors. That's got to be the next thing that I write. I've got to have an excuse to be off camera throwing things. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Somebody's got to throw it. Might as well be the director, right? I always think of that was the thing that John Landis liked to do. But anything that I think about John Landis doing on a film set as a director, where he's having fun endangering actors, eventually just comes back to the fact that, there was a terrible plane crash and it was all his fault and the actors got killed. But that's not what this show is about. But if you're interested, go look up the Twilight Zone which again, talking about horror anthologies, Twilight Zone the movie.
It all comes back together.
It all comes back together. Yeah, that is ridiculous. Actually, isn't that weird? Weird how that works. So yeah, so we'll probably get more of that in the second half of this. More throwing things at Basil Rathbone. Hopefully more invisible things rising in the air. Fingers crossed. Any predictions for how this is going to end up? Is you think the butler's going to take the dead man's coat? You think what's your prediction?
I think so. Do you think if he takes the coat off, is the coat still invisible?
I don't think so.
Because I feel like that'd be really easy to misplace if that were the case.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're screwed. And I mean, I feel like there's some kind of caveat where once you take the jacket off, if you've worn it, then now you yourself are dead. So
okay, because it's your coat now, and now you're the dead man.
But maybe if you can put the jacket back on, then you'll come back to life. But if the jacket's invisible and you can't see it, and you can't find it to put it back on him, then he stays dead. So
right, and if you don't put the jacket back on before the clock strikes midnight, you turn into a pumpkin.
Right. It was bound to get back to Cinderella at some point. Pumpkin rolls definitely apply here. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, Evan, if you have it queued up, and again, I'm at 10:53.
I do.
We're going to get into the exciting conclusion of our final Lights Out episode, Dead Man's Coat, right now.
Therefore, gentlemen, we should very much like a response to our letter of the 18th, I believe it was, in which we informed you that we were about to send to you a shipment of the late...
Excuse me, Mr. Hudson.
The red ahead.
Yes? Hold on, please.
What is it, Miss Parmalee?
There's a gentleman outside to see you, a Mr. Gregory.
Oh, yes. Yes, Miss Parmalee.
This is the guy that he wants to kill, this asshole.
And you may go to lunch.
Okay, must be.
We do not wish to be disturbed.
Yes, sir. Come in now, please, sir.
Don't disturb me while I'm
Gregory,
being murdered.
Come in, sit down. Sit down, sit down. Well, I must say you are in a state. What's that scoundrel Francis been up to now? He's going to...
That scoundrel.
I mean, Mr. Francis... Oh, there's a draft from the window. Not too much for you, is it? No, sir. Well, now, what's happened? Oh, I feel sorry for you, Gregory. I'm sure it's no secret to you how much he hates me, so... I suppose we're both in the same boat, aren't we? Gregory, what can I do to help you? You sounded most upset when you called on the phone. Don't tell me he's been threatening you.
Lock the door, Gregory.
What did you say, Gregory?
Lock the door. No.
What's the matter with you, Gregory?
There's nothing the matter with Gregory Hamilton.
See, this guy's not as good as
Lock the door, I said, or I'll kill you too.
That's a skill.
There, that's better.
Help! Gregory!
I told you I'd get you. You sneered at me, and you mocked me, and you...
Gregory!
Gregory can't help you, Hamilton. Don't you recognize my voice? It's Francis.
You called me a scoundrel, you bitch.
The man who swore he'd murder you. The man that you wouldn't see because you're afraid. No, sir. Stay where you are, Gregory, or... Remember, you're the one that's alone here with Hamilton.
Did he slap him?
Good evening, Hamilton.
I guess. I can.
get your breath.
Black
Daniel.
Raven
Can't
level
see me.
backhand.
I'm looking right in your face, Hamilton, enjoying every second of your death scene. And you can't see me because I'm wearing the dead man's coat, Hamilton.
Thanks for telling us, bro.
Nice
Come
monologue.
here, Gregory.
He's really proud of that coat.
Yes, it's a good coat.
They're burying good old Hamilton.
Yeah, he's gonna have to take it off to
this
launder it sometime.
Died of a heart attack, paper says. Oh, don't worry, Gregory. You weren't suspected in the slightest.
Aye, sir.
You conducted yourself very well indeed at the coroner's inquest. With me standing beside you, you were extremely convincing. Mr. Hamilton was an excellent health gentleman when I let myself out of his office. One of the most
Why did Gregory even need to be there? He's invisible. He could have just snuck in and killed him.
Gregory. Nobody knows where I am.
Got to keep Gregory in the loop. Got to keep him
you a drink, sir?
involved.
No.
I've got to terrorize my butler. I just can't help
You and
it.
I are going out.
You said it earlier, man. He's all Pats.
We're going to a funeral, Gregory. If I mistake not, the first of a good many funerals you and I will be attending.
Nice.
Now, let me see. We check off Hamilton. Then there's Mackenzie, Beverly,
Still crooked.
Carteret.
Get your hat. I said we're late.
He's got a whole list, man. The death list.
Dead man's coat. Very, very useful.
My goodness.
Well, very
Very
touching.
useful.
Come on, Gregory.
Where are you going, sir?
Why, I'm going to watch them lay away my good old friend Hamilton.
You said you wouldn't do that, sir.
Gregory. Why, of course I can do that. I want to be sure he doesn't get out.
Please, sir, let's get away from this
Wait
place.
for me. I'm going in to say goodbye to my dear old friend.
What's the matter, Ben?
I thought I bumped into somebody.
Nobody in there but him.
Well, it sure felt just like somebody standing in my way.
Well, if he is, he sure was invisible.
Oh, shit.
No, he's locked in there now. Okay.
Sounded like it came from inside.
No, it was me, sir.
Good.
Gregory, you said?
Yes, my name's Gregory. I was the last person to see poor Mr. Hamilton alive, sir.
I see. I'm sorry.
Excuse me. You lock the door.
Oh, sure. Just put a new lock on just before the funeral. Good, strong lock. Nobody will ever get in there.
Or out either.
Ben.
I'm sorry.
Well, so it goes.
Mr. Francis. Mr. Francis, it's Gregory.
Get that door open, Gregory.
I can't, sir. It's locked.
I heard him, you fool. Are they out of sight yet?
Yes?
Well, hammer on the lock. You hear me?
Don't let him out. Leave him in there. Come on.
Try the door. There's nothing in here to get hold of. Go to the car and get some tools. Try them. Hurry up.
There's nothing in the car, sir.
Well, get something and try.
Very well, sir.
And hurry up. It's cold in here.
Yes, sir. I'm sure it is.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like,
He's wearing a coat. How cold can he be?
What did you bring? What did you bring?
File, sir.
A file? You can't break the lock with a file.
I thought perhaps the bar, sir.
Well, get started. Get started, I tell you. No, sir.
What? What did you say?
I said no, sir.
Gregory?
I'm not going to try and file through those bars, sir.
But you're fooling, Gregory.
No, I'm not, sir.
But Gregory, you're not going to leave me in here.
No, sir.
Oh, I knew you were only fooling, Gregory. Come on and...
No, sir.
Gregory!
Now, you listen to me, sir. I'm master here now, sir.
Gregory, listen.
I brought this file just to ease my own conscience.
No!
I don't suppose you know what that means, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gregory. Good old Gregory, I am sorry.
It's a bit too late for that now, sir. You're a murderer, Mr. Francis. And you're already planning other murders.
I was joking, Gregory.
And you're a grave robber, too.
It was just a joke, bro.
You treated me very badly. You had me sent to prison.
Just fooling.
You knew I wasn't guilty.
Oh, I'll make it up to you, Gregory. Oh, Gregory, old friend. Think of how many years we've been together.
And you've mistreated me, sir. You've struck me. And you've threatened my life.
Oh, no. You can't leave me here, Gregory.
So I've made up my mind that you've got to be punished, sir. It's your own misdeeds, after all. You've nobody to blame but yourself.
Oh, Gregory, please. I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you.
But you won't be making it up to Mr. Ingram, sir. Whose body you robbed. Nor Mr. Hamilton, who's lying inside with you there now, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Somebody would hear him eventually, right?
Says in the Bible. But you wouldn't have read the Bible much, would you, sir? It says, judge not that ye be not judged. Well, I'm not judging you, Mr. Francis. I'm going to give you a chance.
Oh, Gregory, I know you would. Good old Gregory.
Don't bother crying out, sir.
Cowardly lion over here.
There'll be nobody here. There's nobody around for miles. And if and when they do finally come, sir, and they open this door, you won't be dead.
No.
You're probably reaching out through the bars now, sir.
Give it to me. Give it to me, Gregory.
You might be able to reach it, sir.
But it turned into a raven there?
Damn. And then again, you might not, sir. But if you can reach it, and it doesn't break before you file through them bars, very well then, sir, I was wrong. I'm not judging you, Mr. Francis. You judged yourself when you put on that dead man's coat.
Oh, and by the way, I quit.
Cold-blooded. What?
Oh, no.
No Frank?
No Frank.
Wow, we've been had. Supposedly one of the best episodes, and yet no Frank.
Yes, I don't know if that's true.
NBC television.
I just can't necessarily say that I give it the highest rating if I don't have the Frank sign off. And maybe it is, this was edited. Maybe it was edited out for some reason. Maybe it got lost to the sands of time. They actually did one, but if they just didn't do one, that sucks. Because, Frank would have
Right,
had
they should have
something
turned
fun to say.
they should have turned to the TV that was in the crypt, and Frank Gallup would be on the TV.
Yeah, I would have liked for something like that. A little bit extra. I was expecting that, honestly, so I'm a little disappointed. But I mean,
Oh no.
a little bit. But I mean, yes. I mean, I think you have to give them props for the way they opened. I do think you have to give them a lot of props for that. That kind of meta opening was, obviously, as far as I know, not something that was really had been done on TV at that time. But I mean, again, I think this was based on a radio episode of Lights Out. Because it was a radio show before this, and they did it that metal way where the host is talking and then they make it sound like the like the radio's being turned off and then people start talking, right? Um, but obviously it works better in the television medium when you can actually see those characters. And so, I mean, it was an effective opening and it was an effective gimmick. I thought the ending was okay. It was cold, right? Cold-blooded. But
Yeah.
I was expecting something
a little bigger.
Final twist or something. I'm not quite sure. I mean, what did you think of tonight's episode, Evan?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I mean, I was expecting him to get some kind of comeuppance at the end, and he definitely did.
Yeah.
I think I spent a lot of the episode just trying to wrap my head around the around the rules of the invisibility.
Right.
So he's just invisible forever, I guess, because if he could just take off the coat and be visible, do you think he would?
That's what I was wondering, and I thought they were going to play with that rule, because this show has been smart enough that when they come up with some kind of concept, that there are rules, there's some kind of logic to the horror. I mean, again, I go back to the Martian eyes. It's all a setup for that gimmick at the end.
Yeah.
That concept of seeing a person with a third eye right here. But they do kind of, they set up twists and turns to build you up to that point. And yeah, this episode just didn't really do that. It wasn't building to any twist. It just kind of, the ending just kind of fizzled out. At least
I do have to kind of admire, though, it takes quite the asshole to willingly, permanently turn yourself invisible just so you can go fuck with people.
Yeah, it really does. Obviously, again, this guy was every kind of path, and he was on the war path as well, and he had a list and he checked it twice, and luckily Basil Rathbone was there to keep him locked in a crypt. And
kind of cask of Amontillado.
Yeah, he did. It's definitely got that vibe, right? But obviously it is, you noted it earlier in the episode, this idea of the put upon butler, this character who is kind of abused by the employer, but obviously he was going to get his revenge in some way at the end. And I mean, I wasn't quite expecting it, but once he's locked in the crypt, it you're there, right? I mean, I started to realize it before it was really, before the character finally decided that he was gonna leave him locked in there. I was like, he gonna leave him locked in there? It's probably what he's gonna do. We said it, now he's got the chance. So yeah, I mean, the ending, this was one of those endings that was, it definitely had a good vibe to it. It was definitely wild and effective in its way. But it wasn't one of those closer endings that was really, a big twist.
Yeah, it didn't hit the same high note that Martian Eyes did.
And that's why the Martian Eyes stands apart, I think. Obviously, Because there were a couple other episodes we saw that had something like that, but I think by and large, it was limited to the Martian Eyes having the most effective one. Because even like last week's episode, it was like by the middle, it was like you're very on edge, it's very suspenseful. But the ending wasn't. They let her go, and you're like, okay, they're probably gonna get caught, but the old people are just crazy, so they're just talking about what they're gonna do next. Like,
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think Martian Eyes was that your favorite?
I think so. If I had to choose, I would say Martian Eyes. I did really like the Meddlers with John
Yeah, that one
Carradine.
was good.
That one
I mean,
was.
there's really quite a few of these. Were I liked Cat's Cradle. That one was
Yeah, I
kind of
think.
neat.
I guess all things considered, I did like Cat's Cradle more than some of these. I really liked. I like the Angry Birds now. I think more in retrospect than I like. It was very limited in what they could do, but I'm still the ending credits will stay with me. Like it's still like in a moment that I can't not appreciate.
Mhm.
So yeah, we have seen some really good ones, and I mean all around it's just a quality show. If the ending isn't amazing, there's some other elements, whether it's the camera work or the production design or some kind of special effects, that they are trying to take advantage that this is the medium of television and give you something interesting, even though it is live. Um, I mean, there are
Yeah,
a
which
lot.
that's another interesting detail that they were doing this live.
Yeah. Oh my God. You don't really, we kind of dance around. Was it live? Was it not live all this season? And when you really realize it, it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, all those flubs, sure. Like it's
Yeah, we
live.
kind of we kind of jab at them a little bit, but I mean, we know what it's like trying to put on a show live, so
We know a thing or two about it. Not as much, scripted necessarily. If we had to be scripted, oh my God, I'd be flubbing lines left and right. This is just the whole time I talk off the cup and I'm still flubbing lines. See, just case in point, off the cuff. Ugh, thank you. And still flubbing lines. So
yeah, we'll wait until the end of Friday, then we might be a little off the cup.
yes, I think we might be off the cup this Friday because this Friday, our season 5 finale presentation. It is Bride of the Monster from 1955, starring Bela Lugosi. Of course, we end every season with a Bela Lugosi movie. This was directed by Ed Wood, and so if you don't know about the kind of wild in stages of Lugosi's career where he paired up with Ed Wood, go see the Tim Burton Johnny Depp movie Ed Wood before this Friday's episode, because it shows actually dramatizations of the making of the movie we're going to be watching on Friday. So it's actually a very interesting thing, because you're maybe like, why in on earth would Tim Burton make a movie about the director of this Bela Lugosi movie from 1955? Because
it's really interesting.
it really is, because Ed Wood was a B filmmaker who made mostly he made some sci-fi films, some horror films, some nudie cutie films. He ended his career making some pornographic films, unfortunately. But he also made some westerns in his early career. Made very and he just he's considered one of the great all-time cult filmmakers, who's a lot of his films are considered some of the worst movies ever made. That's not necessarily true. I mean, again, it depends on what you consider the worst, but
That's it. Yeah, how do you quantify that?
but they are so bad they're good, and they are I mean, Ed Wood just has a very discernible style, and you'll see what I mean. It's just very simple and nonsensical, and I mean, you have to appreciate it. And the reason
His movies are always a lot of fun to watch, regardless.
they are. I mean, again, it is definitely the definition of so bad it's good. They are a lot of fun because whether it's the dialogue or the dialogue is usually atrocious because it's written by Ed Wood. Because Ed Wood was a writer, director, producer. So I mean, he was trying to do everything, and as especially in those Sweet Feet, Evan, myself, no, it's not an easy thing to take on multiple roles on a film set. But Ed Wood did it all, and I mean, he did it for multiple films, and it was his films were not critically acclaimed and didn't really get much widespread distribution, but there are, again, there are just so many elements that you're just like, how did it end up like this? How did we get here? How did people not realize it? Like, can we make this more natural, or should we? I mean, again, whether it's special effects, just the sets, I mean, the cardboard sets, even in Friday's film, you'll see there's a mad scientist laboratory, and the sets are painted to look like it's a stone castle backdrop, but it's obviously like painted stones on a like plywood set. It's not real stone. It's very clearly just a flat piece of plywood with stones painted on them. And
So that's the kind of thing you have to look forward to for Friday.
Again,
we're going to be talking all about it.
We're going to get into it, and again, you can't talk about these later stage Bela Lugosi movies without talking about Ed Wood. And so, of course, that's the theme for our cocktail this week, because as always, Evan brings us a wonderful cocktail to pair with the evening's film in a little segment which we call
What were you drinking?
What are we drinking this Friday, Evan?
Well, this Friday, this is our first Ed Wood film, so I do want to kind of send our Scream Stream salute to him, and we're going to be drinking Ed Wood's favorite drink, the vodka gimlet. So, I wasn't really familiar with the gimlet. It's basically gin and lime juice, but this is a vodka gimlet. So the recipe I'm looking at, we're going to be using vodka, lime juice, some simple syrup, and a lime wheel garnish. I think it should be pretty good. Any simple, sour cocktail I love. So I think this one's going to be pretty good.
I think so. I'm really glad that you picked this because, of course, in trying to do research for this episode on Friday, I picked up Ed Wood's memoir, which I did buy. I do have on my bookshelf, and I didn't finish it, I realized. So I took this week to, it's not very long, but I took this week to finish it. And of course, he mentions in there that his favorite drink is a vodka gimlet. So I was like, as I was reading that, I was like, I wonder.
Well, he must have really liked these because his very late in his life he took on a pen name for Pulp Fiction, and he was going by the name Akdov Telmig, which if it's just vodka gimlet backwards,
and he got away with it. And just use your that's a rule of thumb. You want an AKA, you want an alternate name, you want to change it, just take your favorite drink and spell it backwards, and that's your new name. I mean, that's an alcoholic's logic. Again, Ed Wood, especially at the end of his life,
if the shoe fits.
So it's Ed Wood's story does get sad, but the Tim Burton movie certainly highlights the high points of Ed Wood's career, of which the film we'll be watching, Bride of the Monster, is definitely a high point. I will go ahead and tell everybody the copyright, the whole copyright situation on this movie is very dubious. So we will only be broadcasting on Twitch. We will not be broadcasting it on YouTube because you can't find a copy of this movie on YouTube. Obviously, whoever thinks they have the rights to this movie is very forceful about the copyright, and it's very dubious who has the rights. I've done a lot of research into this. There's no card in the original card catalog. The registration that supposedly was filed looks like it was first filed in 1984. But it says, it's for 1956. And then there's all these assignments, like people reassigning the copyright. It is a headache. So I think that's why it's public domain, because there's not a clear chain of title. But obviously somebody thinks they have the rights. So I'm playing it safe, not incurring,
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, not incurring any more community guideline strikes on YouTube. But
not bringing down the wrath of YouTube on us.
Because again, I do believe that this movie is public domain, but the copyright situation is very murky. It's very, very intense, and I'll talk more about that on Friday because I do have more information on that and who some of the rights, because some of the rights holders are legitimate figures in the horror film community, and I don't, not implying anything untoward toward their belief that they own it, but it just, something's off. And if this movie's believed to have been public domain, then unless I see evidence to the contrary, I'm going to treat it like public domain. You can find the whole movie on YouTube, or not YouTube. What I was talking about was the problem. Wikipedia. It's on Wikipedia. So again, it's not, Wikipedia is not usually a reputable source, but their Wikimedia Commons entry on it is, this is public domain, because it gives some reasons, but it's vague. So you can't.
Right. So we'll be streaming to Wikipedia.
So we'll be streaming, live on Wikipedia this Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. No, we'll just be live on Twitch. So if you don't have a Twitch account, you need to go get one so you can watch because it's going to be a great movie. It's going to be a great episode. It is our official 50th episode. We've had some specials, we've had some other things, but this is what we're officially calling the 50th episode. It's our
Big 5-0.
Big 5-0, our golden jubilee. So what better way to celebrate with Ed Wood and Bela Lugosi, as always, for our finales. That's ending with a bang. That's a wild ending. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So you can join us on Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern for that. We'll be off for a week, and then we'll be back with our next mini-sodes on the 31st of May. And I don't know what that's going to be yet. It's probably going to be a film serial, but I have not identified what that will be yet. But rest assured, it will be fun. We really enjoyed the shit out of Flash Gordon, so whatever
we sure did.
We sure did. So what do we get on May 31st at 9 p.m. Eastern will be a doozy. That'll be our season 6 minisodes, the whole serial, whatever it is. And then that week we'll be back with our feature presentations. So season 6 will be starting then. But until then, you can go catch all of our past episodes. Most of our past episodes, I should say, on YouTube. We also have shorts there, playlists, all that good stuff. So while we're gone, if you're really missing us, if you're really missing your dose of public domain horror, there's tons of episodes to go catch up on our YouTube page. So you can go find us there as Scream Stream Live. You can check us out over on Twitter and Instagram at Scream Stream Show. Go follow me over on Twitter at Spakenstein. Evan Sink is also on Twitter at Caligari Cursed. And Fresh Rogan, not with us tonight, but you can find him on Twitter and Instagram at Fresh Rogan. Thanks, Sweet Feet, for tuning in tonight. Cylon, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you, Evan, as always. It's been a great season 5, or some great season 5 minisodes. So, anything before
It's
we?
a shame to leave Lights Out behind.
It
but
is, but we'll get back to it eventually. But yeah, it is a
Yeah.
shame, but it was a good very successful season, I think. Anything before we sign off for our minisodes for season 5 tonight?
So, if wearing a dead man's coat turns you invisible, what happens if you wear a dead man's pants?
Whoa. I don't think I want to know.
Find out next time.
Until next time, sweet screams, everybody.
And to all, a good fright.